Hey everybody, we're back. We're part 2, video 2 on the
sourdough
saga here. Sourdough bread. And this has been my favorite part. I mean, Holly has made pancakes,
English muffins,
waffles, sourdough waffles, bread,
and pizza crust.
By far, I mean, they've all been good.
The waffles are good though.
They are. But by far the bread has been just over the top. You know, a fresh egg on a sourdough piece of toast, count me in. So, Holly's going to walk us through getting sourdough bread going. So, spin around and let you talk.
Okay. So, again, we'll put a link down to the recipes so you can see them, and I'll give you a link for the whisk that I use too.
You're starting?
Starting with my sourdough starter.
All right. You're zeroing out.
Yep. Get my scale going. I prefer to weigh everything out again versus just measuring.
Yep.
So we'll get this, zero this out. So for this, I only need 50 grams of active starter. So we're going to pull this out.
And that leaves you enough to then
start over again and rebuild.
This thing is alive. It is constantly going in our kitchen, bubbling. And so the rubber band, you're just showing.
The rubber band is just for me so I can see where I started out the day. So and then how far it's grown.
Okay.
Some people like to mark theirs with a marker or some kind of thing on the jar. I've just preferred the rubber band because then I can move it from jar to jar.
So 50 grams.
50 grams of starter.
Okay.
So that leaves me with that much left. I've got 50 grams in here. We're going to take, let me see, 350 grams of water, which I've already weighed out, and mix that in with the starter. Now we're going to mix this all together so that the starter gets distributed evenly amongst all the flour.
And again, that funky whisk going there.
Yep.
You're going to put a link to that so everybody can buy their own funky whisk?
It's my favorite thing for dealing with a stiffer dough like the breads and such. So we will then add some salt in there. It's just 10 grams of fine sea salt.
Okay.
And then 500 grams of bread flour this time.
What was the other flour you used?
In the pizza doughs, I used whole wheat flour and all-purpose flour.
Okay. So
bread flour has a higher protein to give you that rise.
And which gives you more of the funk?
Actually, it's...
Or is that just all tied to the starter?
That's all tied to the starter.
Okay.
Yep. The starter is what gives you this. And this is why I love this whisk. You can get in there. The dough doesn't usually stick too much to it. It'll clean out real easy and get everything all mixed together real quick.
So it's literally like 2 minutes of mixing, and you're ready.
Yep, and you can use that stiff edge to help clean the side of the bowl. Get everything all mixed up.
Get stuff off the bottom.
Yep. Kind of get that.
So you're not using your hands to knead this and roll it and...
Nope. See, look at that.
Okay. Now you just get it out of the...
And then just out of the whisk. And I do use my fingers here a little bit, but you can see it's a lot easier to work with than a regular whisk, which would just be too flimsy for this.
Okay.
There we go. So we will let this sit for an hour before we do our first knead of sorts where it's a stretch and pull. So we'll set this aside and come back in an hour.
All right. We'll be right back.
All right, so it's an hour later, and we're going to do our stretch and fold on our bread dough.
Stretch and fold number 1, right?
Yep, so you only do a couple of these, and it'd be the same thing in half an hour, so we're just going to do this one. You get your hand wet. Usually I'd walk over to the sink, but I figured this would be easier here. So you just kind of pull in, grab it, pull it up, fold it over. It's just kind of a light knead on the dough.
Look at that aerial camera work. So you're just pulling it up, folding it over.
Yep. Just incorporating everything a little bit.
What is this doing? It's
just a light knead on the dough. rather than giving it, you don't have to do a ton of kneading on it. And that's why
Do you need to do it? No, okay, that was good.
Nope.
I mean, seriously, do you need to do it?
Yes.
Okay.
Just
So
like
is it
a regular dough.
Putting air into it or something?
Puts a little air into it, mixes everything back up again, and breaks down so that it can
So now you're covering it.
Yep. And then
And-
it'll sit for another half hour. I'll do that once again, and then it'll sit overnight.
Okay. And in the morning, we'll come back, and then we'll get
We'll
it ready to bake.
Get it ready to bake.
All right. We'll be back.
Morning, everybody. We're back with our bread. We're going to be doing our final stretch and fold and proofing for it. This is sat overnight. So
Risen a little bit.
yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some flour and put it out because you need to bring this out onto a floured surface now. Pull this out of the bowl.
Doesn't stick as much as I thought it would.
No, it's usually pretty good.
Usually. Are there
Yeah.
times where it's not?
No, I mean this
Okay.
is. I mean it's still sticky, but get to the end here and it gets a little more. There. So take this. Make sure you got flour on your hands and do your last little.
What are you doing that for?
Well, this is just like you would with any bread when you're kneading it. This is just the final knead on it.
I mean,
It gets the glutens going, it gets everything and gives it all the nice, wonderful little bubbles in there.
okay.
So,
I
there's,
want bubbles for sure in this
Yeah.
bread.
yep, you can see some bubbles go in there. So, and then you take this, put it out onto some parchment. You'll use the parchment now for when you're baking it as well, so this makes it easier to transport. Put it in another bowl for
Another bowl.
another rise.
Okay.
And
Final rise.
Final rise. Usually with this, usually you only, depending on your weather, about an hour and a half to 2. I've been letting this rise for about another 8 hours. Okay. So this evening is when this will actually get baked.
So it's 9 a.m. right now. So
Yeah.
somewhere 5, 6.
5 or 6 o'clock tonight.
And what do you got there?
This is just a damp towel to help keep the dough warm and moist on top.
Does it have to be warm and damp? Nope. Okay.
No. So then that just sets aside and we'll come back to it at 5 o'clock this evening.
Okay. So then we're baking and we're done then.
Yep.
All right. We'll be back.
And we're back. And we're ready to put the bread into the oven. So this has been sitting since about 9 o'clock this morning. Raised up. It looks pretty. And so I've got the oven preheated to 450 with my Dutch oven in there, so it's nice and hot.
So you cook it in a Dutch oven.
Yep, you cook it in a Dutch oven. You start it out hot. So take that off. There, so I don't burn myself on it. Take
Just
this
keep
out.
the paper on while
Keep
you
the
cook
paper
it.
on. That's what you're going to use to transfer from one to the next, and it'll help take it out when you're done as well. Now, here's where you can put your fun little designs in as well. Just kind of
Get all cutesy wootsy here.
get all cutesy wootsy with it right here.
You're not letting all the air out, are you?
Nope. It's good to go. So now we just put this back in the oven, put the lid on it. Start out with the lid on it because it's the steam in there is going to help
How long do you leave
this
the
to
lid
rise. We start it out and we cook it this way for 25 minutes.
on? And then you take the lid off?
Then you take the lid off and cook it for another 20. So we'll start.
So 45 minutes total.
Yep.
And then it's done.
Yep.
All right, we're going to cut and we'll get the big reveal
Yep.
at the
45
end.
minutes when
We'll
we're
be
done.
back. 45 minutes.
All right, now it's time to pull it out of the oven.
Grand reveal. God, it smells good. So it's been going for 45 minutes.
Yep. I did 25 minutes with the lid on, just reached in, pulled the lid out, and we went for another 20 minutes. And there it is.
Voila.
Nice fresh loaf of sourdough for you guys.
If there was smell-o-vision, my God, this would be a top video. It smells incredible. Mm-hmm. Incredible. Good job.
So if you have any other questions, feel free to either drop a note down below or send an email. Happy to help. I'm just starting with this for 4 months and, you know, like I said, help with Chelsea and just learning stuff online too, so.
4 months. She's been making loaves that look this good. Now that her starter's getting some funk to it, though, the taste is off the charts. So,
Yep.
yeah, put questions down below if you need help. If you got suggestions on even making it better or some fun ideas,
Yep.
put them down and let us know. Otherwise,
Thanks for watching.
Yep. What a beautiful loaf of sourdough.